Am I the a-hole for not accepting my ex's baby as my own? I, male 39, was married to Kelly, female 36. We have 3 kids, 14-year-old, 12-year-old, and a 6-year-old. Kelly got pregnant early in our relationship, and we got married when my firstborn was 1-year-old. Then she decided to be a stay-at-home mom. She met Josh. He was a fitness trainer. Kelly told me she was no longer attracted to me and wanted divorce. I suggested therapy, but she said she saw no point since the attraction is gone. We have now 50-50 custody of our kids, and I pay child support and alimony since she has no job. She got pregnant by Josh after a hookup, but Josh disappeared when she told him about the pregnancy. She is about to give birth soon. She told me last night she want to give the baby my last name so all kids have the same last name. I said that's odd, since my name wouldn't be on a birth certificate. She said, "That's what I'm saying. You have always been a great dad, and it's cruel that the baby would be left out while the siblings have you." I said no, and I doubt she legally even can without my consent. I only care about my kids. She said I'm heartless and cruel. After all, baby will be my kids' siblings. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add, I live in Toronto. No, there is 0% chance that I would be the father. I'm black. Josh, whom I've never met in person, is like my ex-wife, Caucasian with blonde hair and blue eyes. So the baby will clearly look so different than me and the kids. I'm not sure why Kelly plans to lie to the poor baby about the dad. I'm not trying to be cruel or be malicious. I was a complete mess after my divorce. Heartbroken. After so much therapy, I decided to let her go. I'm now focusing on my kids and our, kids and mine's, mental health. I am single by choice, because I don't think my kids and I are there yet to have a new person in our lives. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's not your baby. I understand she wants them not to feel excluded from the other kids, but you don't really have a responsibility here. Although pretty sure she could name the baby whatever she wants, I don't think you can stop her. Just make sure you're not on a birth certificate. Can she write my name as the dad without my consent? I think she could give the baby your name unfortunately, but as you're divorced, I don't think she can just list you as father. It's likely she can list anyone as the father, and the presumed father can contest the birth certificate, but obviously location dependent. Not the a-hole. I'd get a lawyer. Sounds like she may try to put you on the birth certificate and then claim child support. That's my fear. Yes, I'll talk to my lawyer. Don't worry too much. A simple paternity test would show you are not biologically the child's father. You won't have to pay child support for a child that is not yours. Section 31 of the Ontario Family Code doesn't allow for DNA to get someone out of fatherhood, which sucks for married men who had cheating wives. Luckily for OP, while the Family Code assumes the husband is the father, there is no assumption for an unwed mother. If the mother is not married, an affidavit of paternity has to be signed by the person claiming to be the father prior to his name being listed in the birth certificate. One small trap though, if his divorce was less than 300 days prior to the birth, he will be presumed to be the father, as conception would have occurred during the marriage. Wowza, that's messed up. Many US states are the same. It's only been in the last several years that some of them have passed paternity fraud laws that let deceived men get their names removed based on DNA. And even then, it's very restricted time frame. They use the benefit of the child to dehumanize men into nothing but wallets. Inform your lawyer, assuming your divorce isn't final, and make sure that you don't end up on a birth certificate. Our divorce got finalized already. Just inform your lawyer to draft up something as precaution. Please don't engage her when she starts talking about it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I don't care about his kids? I know I sound like the a-hole right from the get-go, but please hear me out. I, 39 female, got married to my 42 male husband 5 years ago. He had 3 kids at a time who are now 10 female, 14 female, and 17 male. I got along with them really well for the first year. They didn't call me mom or anything, which was never ever enforced. I always let them know that they were allowed to call me by my first name. Their mom has not liked me from the start. She has constantly showed up to my doorstep yelling at me, saying I'm trying to steal her kids. I have tried to sit down and talk to her, explaining that her kids love her and would never replace their mom. She still continues to tell them that rubbish. At around the 2.5-year mark, the kids started pulling pranks on me. I assumed it was harmless, like putting baby powder in my hair dryer or greasing up the stairs. Looking back on it, it should have been a sign. The rubbish their mom kept telling them eventually got to them, with her going as far as saying she was the mistress, which is why Daddy and I divorced, which is completely not true. The kids would then start disobeying me. It all started little, like not putting their shoes away, leaving dirty clothes on the floor. Then it down spiraled from there. They would start screaming at me, the eldest going as far as calling me a home-wrecking whore, which honestly left me in tears. These past 4 years, I've been subjected to bullying within my own home. I've spoken to my husband several times about all these situations. He brushes it off, saying they're still adjusting to change or it's all just jokes. Yesterday was my final straw, when the 17 male and 14 female sold my gold earrings that were for my grandma, and they split the money. I told my husband that I was getting a divorce, because I can no longer do this. He begged and pleaded with me, and said, "Don't you care about the kids?" I told him I didn't care about them, one single bit. I'm at my parents' house now, and he keeps texting and apologizing, saying he'll buy me new ones. I'm yet to respond. Am I the a-hole? Call the cops and file a report to get your stolen items back, or at least to force accountability. You were wise to leave. Don't look back. Not the a-hole. This, report them stolen. They need to know there are consequences for their actions. This, if they were pawned, I hope he may get them back. I hope she does. What cruel children. Part of me thinks there is a very good chance the ex-wife has it. Not the a-hole. After 5 years, they should have been adjusted. And no, greasing the stairs is not just a joke. I'm sure he's aware of the change in the kid's behavior. He's ignoring it because he doesn't want to have to deal with it. Those earrings had sentimental value. They can't be replaced, but what his kids did was a crime. There is another comment saying you should report the theft to the police, and I totally agree with that. Those kids stole your earrings, sold them, and shared the money. They need to learn that actions have consequences. These kids have made your life a hell for 4 years. And your husband has condoned that by not speaking to them. I wouldn't care about them either. Yeah, greasing the stairs is serious. An attempt to injure you seriously. You don't have a stepkid problem. You have a husband problem. His ex threw you to the wolves and he has done nothing but blow you off and dismiss your feelings and concerns. Just joking is the rallying call of every bully on the planet. Get a divorce. Why should you care about kids who are bullying you beyond reason? Or for a husband who watches it happens and does nothing. Get the heck out of this totally dysfunctional marriage. Stay at your parents' house. Get a lawyer. Start the paperwork. To hell with his apologies. Too little too late. And this is what you tell him. If you are stupid enough to go back, he will almost immediately go back to the way it was, ignoring what is going on. Get a divorce. The kids will high-five each other thinking that it's going to be happy family again. Then are shocked when dad doesn't go back to the person who actively helped destroy this marriage. More like kids are going to be shocked when they realize how much Opie did for them. Hope Opie gets out. She deserves so much better. Now for the update. These past days have been hard for me, especially with all that's happened. I took the advice and went to the police station and filed a report. The police said they'd see what can be done. I'm guessing they did show up to my ex-husband's house because he kept calling me nonstop. He called me all sorts of names, which I took screenshots of and sent to my lawyer. I've indeed contacted a divorce lawyer and will start the process in the next few weeks. Thank you so much, everyone. An update won't come out for a while though because I'm still figuring things out. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my wife I donated sperm before we started dating and she more than likely is not having my first child? This one I admit is a bit strange, and honestly I never thought of the impact of my actions long ago when I was making a little side cash. Long story short, I was in college about 15 years ago, and like every college student, I was low in cash. And I was flipping through the school paper and saw an ad for a sperm donation. It said something along the lines of, no mental illness, no drugs, no alcohol, excellent physical shape, come make $500 a month. It sounded like a scam, but I went to the address and it was a legit doctor's office looking place. Everything looked legit, paperwork and all. Turns out because of my grades, healthy lifestyle, being 6 feet tall and so on, I actually got $650 a month for coming in for regular donations. This was huge for me. Heck, my rent in those days for a townhouse was $450. I only did it for a year and never really told anyone about it. Just moved on with my life, no different than any other side gig. So boom, my wife and I had been trying for months to have a kid. Eventually we end up getting pregnant and it's a pretty exciting time for the both of us. Everything went bad and made all those old Asian memories I never really thought about came back in a flash when at the baby shower one of my wife's friends bought a onesie for the baby that said, Mom and Dad's firstborn, handled with care. I thought it was cute, but then it made me think our baby probably isn't my firstborn. It ate at me for like a week. Then I told her about the sperm donation I did in college and how I'm pretty sure she's not having my first child. All hell broke loose. She was furious. especially since we tried for so long before she could get pregnant. Said I lied to her, and I don't see it like that. I've dated women before her, and I never thought to start out, "Hi, I'm Brendan and I donated sperm 15 years ago." Or that would be a big deal. She's been sleeping at her sister's house for a week now. Am I the a-hole? You win the worst possible timing award for today. He could have announced this in the delivery room. So, second worst? Third, could have been when a 15-year-old shows up on their doorstep looking for medical information. Or when a family member does one of those genetic info websites. Holiday family gathering and someone mentions 20 kids that came out of nowhere. You're the a-hole. They aren't your children. You are their sperm donor. Your wife is having your first child. Buy her roses and apologize. Biologically, they are. His kid could have dozens or even 100 half-siblings. Sperm banks in the US are completely unregulated. There are sibling pods of over 100 half-siblings. People have accidentally dated their own half-sibling. Lol, I gave sperm too, and wife wasn't happy to hear that either. But my timing and phrasing weren't as idiotic as yours. I wouldn't be angry if it happened before I knew him. I don't understand that. I don't own my husband's balls. It's the timing. She had fertility troubles and is finally pregnant. And is far enough along to have the baby shower and preparing for everything huge and hormonal. Then, oh, by the way, this isn't my first kid. I may have random ones out there. Yeah, that should have been a before or after pregnancy conversation. Too much hormonally charged emotion going on right now. It took me a long time to get pregnant as well due to PCOS. Looking back, I genuinely think I wouldn't have cared if my husband had told me something like that while dating or when we first married. But during my first pregnancy, I was over the moon yet so anxious. I wouldn't have handled probably not my first kid news well at all. If it told me now 11 years of marriage, I'd be really annoyed that he hadn't mentioned it earlier, but I don't think I'd be angry. It's just a timing. I don't think OP's an a-hole at all, but kind of an idiot. Last story. Am I the a-hole for continuing to purposefully take a libido decreaser now that my wife has changed her mind? My 39 male, wife 40 female, and I have been married 15 years. Had a fantastic intimate life for 8 to 10 years, but then we got busy with kids and employment and things sort of fizzled out to maybe once every 6 to 8 weeks. My libido isn't crazy high, but I'll be honest, 6 to 8 weeks was killing me. I felt like the list of things that had to be checked off on my wife's list to get things going was impossible to fulfill. I feel like the list would go on, as new excuses and reasons were added on why she just wasn't down for anything. I was by far the only initiator for the last few years, and would get turned down 9 times out of 10. I work and my wife stays home with the kiddos, which works well for us. I attempted discussions with her about the situation and asked what else she needed from me, how we could spice things up, what we could do to increase our romance and intimacy, etc. The answer was always just that. She never really thought about it anymore and wasn't all that interested. I know it's not my place to pressure her into things she's not comfortable with, so after years of this, I eventually started to take care of myself. And she found out one day and flipped out about it. We had a conversation and she requested I did do that. I'm real non-confrontational, so I agreed, albeit maybe frustrated and mildly depressed that we couldn't come to a middle ground. To make matters worse, I had different women at work come on to me very strongly in the middle of all this. I would never cheat, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't tempt me for a moment in my frustration. Eventually, I knew I needed to do something drastic to keep my marriage strong, and I got with my doc and started taking a medicine that decreases my libido significantly. I'll be honest, it's been very freeing. Now I hardly ever think about it. My wife, however, is angry that I'm not physically coming after her and attempting to initiate, etc., like I did before. She asked me to stop taking it, and I've flat out refused. I love that I don't feel negative about this situation anymore, because it doesn't preoccupy my mind like it did before. I honestly don't ever want it to go back how it was before. Am I being an a-hole by sticking with it? Not the a-hole. Coming from a wife of 12 years, I'm really struggling to see your wife's point of view here. In that, you've come up with 2 solutions to this problem, and both she's not happy with? Info, what are the conditions she's asking for? Some completely reasonable, to be honest. One's romance, one's communication, one's emotional intimacy as well. But then the list gets added too. Kids have to be 100% asleep. I can't have said anything remotely construed as negative or impatient in the preceding weeks. She can't have too many stressors on her mind. Can't be too tired. Has to feel confident. House has to be clean. The list goes on. She is an amazing person. Couldn't ask for a better mother to our children. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't just being a prick on this issue and couldn't see it. She won't be intimate with you. She gets mad you rub one out. She gets mad you're no longer interested. You literally cannot win. Not the a-hole. Seriously, what the heck is he supposed to do? If I were Opie, I would ask her that. Very seriously. To see what her reply is. She wants to be in total control of the intimacy, without feeling like she has to be. Her horny is the only one that matters, and any acknowledgement of his counts as pressure. She hates him in the relationship, irrespective of whether she is beating off, because it makes her feel like she's not doing enough in. She also thinks that if she can live without it, then so must he. Otherwise, the relationship is one-sided, and that's not a power dynamic she can abide. If I had to put a root cause in all this, I would think she secretly wants for the relationship to be over, but she doesn't want to be the one to say it, because she doesn't want to be the bad guy. She doesn't want the intimacy at all, just the associated power with being pursued for it. Yeah, this is 100% the reason. She doesn't want intimacy, but likes the attention and holding the power. She can reward him anytime he jumps through enough hoops for a pity bang, and the rest of the time he's basically begging for any attention. Now that he's shut off the horny faucet, she's not getting the attention, and she's lost her favorite card to play to keep him wrapped around her finger. What an a-hole. Update. Would I be the a-hole for refusing to babysit my boyfriend's daughter while her mother gets chemotherapy? Original post. I'm very angry at the moment, so forgive any mistakes. My boyfriend, male mid-30s, has a daughter, Gina, 10, with his ex-wife, Tess, and the ex-wife is fighting a very aggressive form of brain cancer. Now, a bit of backstory. Tess and I never did get on well. I met my boyfriend while he was in the process of getting divorced, and I think she's always thought we had an affair long before then. She hates me a lot, and so does Gina. I've been called a homewrecker, a slut, and other nice things ever since I first met them. Now, my boyfriend is usually very quick to shut down their BS, but he adores his daughter and still cares about his ex-wife as they've been together 15 years and been friends since their childhood. Ever since the diagnosis, he's been the one driving ex-wife to medical appointments and such, and has asked me the favor to look after his daughter while he's with Tess. He knows what a huge favor it is, and has thanked me profusely every time, and I know how much he needs my help. But everything went downhill a few hours ago when I was asked to bring Gina back to her mother's house. Tess started saying I must be glad she's dying, because I can keep boyfriend to myself now. She said I must be happy because now I get to keep her daughter and pretend she's mine. She said a lot of ugly things as well, and boyfriend didn't do anything to correct her. I stayed really quiet because, to be frank, I was incredibly shocked. Still am, to be honest. When we got home, I lost it with him and told him I wouldn't keep his daughter any longer. Not if he allowed Tess to talk to me in such a manner. He said I'd be a huge a-hole if I went through with this because Tess has just found she's only got few weeks left, and not the months she'd previously thought. Is he right? Would I be the a-hole if I stopped babysitting his daughter? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Oh boy, you're in a difficult situation for sure. Do you love this man? You know that with this man comes his child, right? And how you behave now will determine how his child responds to you in the future. Presuming you want a future with your boyfriend after this. You are not obligated to sit and take crap, no matter where it is coming from. Do you understand though, this likely isn't a real her. She's literally grappling with life and death, not to mention a likely mind/mood-altering brain tumor that could have been there for years. And the amount of pain she must be in emotionally, knowing she won't be there for her daughter must be driving her crazy. Ever seen the movie Stepmom? This is your choice though. You don't have to take it. You would not be the a-hole to step away altogether. Just don't expect to stay in that relationship if you refuse to watch his daughter. This feels like a deal breaker for you both. I only want to add that it appears she was disrespectful to Opie before the diagnosis. This should be in highlights. Its unfortunate terminal illness does not make patients saints. More of her true self showed us all. But seriously, Opie, you will never be happy with this man. Gina won't let you. Move on. I understand that both Tess and Gina and even the ex-husband are hurting. Brain cancer is a terrible condition. However, Tess did not like Opie before the disease, and she made that clear in what she said. Gina, 10, will equate being nice to Opie as being disloyal to her mom. Gina at 10, losing her mom, should be first in her father's life for many years to come. That is why for the peace of everyone and for a happier life, I hope you should move on. There are no a-holes here. This is so far above AITA's pay grade. A dying mother lashing out at the most convenient target. And brain cancer? This is 100% affecting her ability to filter and regulate what she says. A partner watching the mother of his child, someone he once loved, die. He's with you and doesn't want to make this harder on anyone. A child caught in the middle of all this. And you, with your very valid feelings of being unfairly treated. You need to find a grief therapist now. One that you can talk to. One that boyfriend and daughter can go to. This is going to be a very rough ride. No a-holes here. Nope. Boyfriend is definitely an a-hole for not standing up for her and allowing that kind of treatment. Tess has been rude even before she found out she only has a few weeks. Tess has an aggressive form of brain cancer. I presume she had a tumor or granulomas before she was officially diagnosed. Maybe for a long time. I know AITA is the place to come for snap judgments and moral desserts. But a person with brain cancer is not the enemy you want her to be, even if she was aggressive before her diagnosis. Not the a-hole, but I don't see your relationship surviving much longer. I would nope out of that toxic mess. Boyfriend is numb and has no boundaries. Stepkid is using you as an emotional tampon. And the ex, if she passes, you will be fighting a ghost with an angry preteen. Save yourself, OP. Healing wishes to all. Edit/update. So, thanks. I've read all your comments and thought about all the points you made. I will continue to look after the kid. To be honest, I think I never had any actual intentions of stopping. In my anger, I just wanted my boyfriend to listen to me for a moment, and I think I need to have a chat with my boyfriend. I haven't seen him yet since the fights because he's had to go back at his exes shortly after. We'll see. Maybe I'll do an update once things settle down. Thank you again. I really appreciate your help. Edit. Thanks for taking the time to share your opinions, folks. I am very surprised and grateful and appreciates everyone's insight. I'm a bit more level-headed at the moment, so I'll take the time to expand on some points I've seen brought up in the comments. No, my boyfriend and I did not have an affair. I can't believe I have to say this. Their divorce was almost finalized when we met, and the reason they divorced was that they'd been growing more and more distant, to the point where ex-wife had an extramarital affair and boyfriend didn't even care. I trust him because he's shown me again and again the truthfulness of his words. His daughter was always going to be part of my life. I knew that since the very beginning. My boyfriend and his daughter have always been very, very close. We sat down a while ago, after ex's diagnosis, and talked it out. There was no doubt his daughter was always coming to live with us after his mother's death. And one thing, I love my boyfriend, and so I care deeply about the people he loves too, which include his daughter. I care for the kid a lot, and have tried and was always going to keep trying to build a relationship with her. It's the daughter who wants nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with me. I am under no delusions about what our future will be like. The kid has always been my boyfriend's priority and rightfully so, and I know she's going to need her dad a lot after her mother passes. I also know my boyfriend is going to be grieving heavily and was ready to support him fully. My boyfriend was able to just stand there and watch as his ex-wife spouted so much anger and sheer hatred at me that I was struck dumb about. I have never seen anything like it, and he just stood there, watching me in tears as this woman kept yelling and yelling. He didn't do a thing, not even guide me out of the room. It felt much like a betrayal, to be honest, and the fact that he was not even a bit understanding afterwards has made me reconsider pretty much everything. I'm sorry, but I cannot excuse completely ex-wife for her past behavior. Boyfriend says she's always been very headstrong and jealous and he never found anything weird with her. But her behavior started changing around 6 months ago, and we all started noticing then. Now for the full update. I don't know whether someone even remembers my original post, but I received lots of great advice in the comments and I figured I owe you guys an update. Lots has happened in the meanwhile, so I'll try to keep it short. First, I sat my boyfriend down for a chat as soon as I saw him again, which was the day following our discussion. He agreed that we needed to talk, and told me he was sorry for calling me an a-hole, that he had been so much in shock that he hardly even remembered the whole fight in the first place. I told him I could understand that, and told him I love him and wanted to be there for him and support him throughout this ordeal. I also added, though, that I would need him to be able to stick up for me in the future, even against his daughter, who would be grieving and in a lot of pain. I told him to think about it and let me know, It also said that I would keep his daughter for as long as he needed me to, independently from his answer. He then asked me to marry him on the spot. No ring or anything, but he was crying and it was very sweet. So now we're engaged and relatively happy. Second, Tess passed away a week later. I followed your suggestion and didn't see her again. Gina is living full-time with us now, and I have what I think are, if not good, then hopeful news. 10 days after her mother's death, she broke down in hysterics because she wanted her mom. It was an incredibly sad moment. She kept yelling insults at me and crying and again yelling at me. I was in tears because seeing a child in that much pain is truly heart-wrenching. So I intervened before my fiancé could say anything, told Gina that I couldn't bear to see her so distressed and that I would go stay with a friend until she felt a bit better, that I loved her and just wanted her to be less sad. She ran to me, hugged me, and begged me to not leave her. We cried together, and I think we might be on the road to healing. That is to say, thank you Reddit folks for your feedback. You're awesome. So happy to read the last paragraph of your update. It's incredibly sad for all of you. And after what Tess put you through, even though she must have been very distressed to be dying, leaving such a young kid without a mother, you're incredibly strong and good to the core to still handle it the way you are. I hope you manage to build a strong relationship with Gina and have a happy marriage. Not to mention that it was brain cancer, which, like memory loss illnesses, affects a person's personality as they degrade and the disease progresses. I feel so bad for them that they may never know if those words were the disease or how she actually felt. Both are awful. In her original post, Opie covers that. She said something along the lines that Tess didn't like her and made it known to her, accusing Opie and her boyfriend, now fiancé, of having an extramarital affair since they hooked up at the tail end of Tess's and the boyfriend's divorce. It wasn't until 6 months before the post that Tess got malicious about it, and it was just a short while later that Tess was diagnosed with a brain tumor. So it appears that Tess always felt that way about Opie. The cancer just exacerbated it. Opie, please check if there's a kid griefs group in your area. It helps many kids to realize they are not alone in this. And if she wants, make sure she has a good picture of her mom in her room. Make sure she knows she can talk of her. And look that she gets enough mementos of her mother. Sometimes women have different thoughts about what they would like to have from their moms than men. Better keep few things more than not enough, if possible. Good luck to all of you. I second this, and I'd also like to recommend you look into something a little more alternative like art therapy if it's available, and if she's maybe slower to open up. I did art therapy as a kid when some rough stuff happened, and it was immediately helpful. And I've also known people who got a lot out of things like equine therapy. Kids sometimes need a slightly different approach. It might take a little time to find what jives with her, but it's worth it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not asking my sister if I should adopt? This will require some backstory. I, 27 female, and my husband, 26 male, have been married for a little over 3 years. 2 years ago, we began trying to get pregnant. We then moved on to attempting to get pregnant through fertility treatments. When none of this worked, we decided we wanted to pursue adoption. All my husband's siblings are adopted, and it was something we had been thinking about pursuing even before our fertility issues, but now it seemed like the best route for us to pursue. We did lots of research, including attending seminars and contacting multiple different agencies. We ended up deciding on an agency we liked. Since then, we have been going through the home study process and beginning stages of joining the agency, and recently we reached the final stage before we can begin the matching process. Throughout all this, my parents and sisters have been supportive, but clearly aren't sure how to talk to me about it. I have tried not to overwhelm conversations with talking about it, but it is a huge part of my life at the moment. Though I have tried to be especially sensitive to one of my older sisters who is infertile, as I know she has struggled in the past. Well, over the last few months, I haven't heard from this sister at all. She's known for being hard to get in contact with, so I tried not to read into it too much. But I was aware she was talking to my parents and our other sister. I finally heard from her yesterday when she called me. During the call, she expressed that it is hard to hear about the adoption stuff, which I understand, but then she started telling me that she and my other sister have been frustrated, that they were not asked for their opinions before we started the adoption process. She then proceeded to say we always come to just tell them what we are doing and already have our minds made up, so they feel they can't share their thoughts and things. She went on to question whether we understand how much harder raising an adopted child is, rather than one you give birth to, and asking if we aren't too young to be doing this. I was honestly shocked to hear all this. I have never had a type of relationship with my sisters where I go to them for advice. So hearing that they don't understand why they weren't part of my decision process made no sense to me. So am I the a-hole for not asking their opinion? Extra context. My sister's husband is adopted and struggles greatly with it. They're considering going through adoption themselves one day though. So to be clear, they are not against adoption. Now for the top comments. As an adopted kid myself, and I almost never see people actually listening to adopted people when this topic comes up. Your sisters are absolutely delusional. And honestly, probably not very good people. I 100% believe someone who would treat an adopted kid differently than a bio kid, and that's what she's saying, is a trash person. Not the a-hole. And look into the kid's book The Day You Were Born by Jamie Lee Curtis. Fantastic kid's book about adoption. And never lie to your kid about where they came from. Never get weird if they have questions about their bio family, etc. Thank you so much for the book recommendation. I will definitely get it. We would never lie to our future child about their adoption. It is a part of their story and they have every right to know. Adoptive parent here, and I just want to jump onto Pineapple's excellent comment and help reinforce it. If you adopt those who are going to be your kids and they'll have their own story, it's hugely important that they are brought up knowing that story too. As you go through the process, look into whether you have pediatricians in your area who specialize in adoption medicine. Ours did, and was an excellent source of support and referrals to other specialists and therapists when our kids were growing up. Not the whole. If, when, and how you and your partner decide to grow your family is 100% up to you and your partner. Other people can have, and I suppose share their opinions on your choices, but you are in no way obligated to seek out their opinions or factor their opinions into your decision. I'm not sure why your sister is taking your decision so personally, but what she's saying to you does not really make sense. And I would not take what the sister said about your other sister agreeing with her at face value. No matter if/when/how you grow your family, people are going to have thoughts about it. Anyone who is obnoxious or pushy about it, feel free to distance yourself from them. But if there are people butting in that you want to maintain contact with, you need to set boundaries. First time someone questions your decision, I hear your concerns and understand that you may have a difference of opinion on this matter. However, husband and I have made this decision together, and we are not interested in debating the matter with others. We do not need you to support or agree with our decision, but we do need you to accept that it is our decision to make. If you don't want to be included in updates as we move forward, we will respect that. Second time they question your decision, you made your thoughts on this clear when we last spoke about it. However, as I told you before, our decision is final, and we are not interested in debating this with others. Anytime after that, we are not going to discuss this with you. If you cannot respect our decision, we will need to keep our distance from you going forward. Update. My ex says I got her pregnant. We only been intimate once, but the paternity results say something else. Original story. It says I, 24 male, am the father. We went to this lab that do prenatal paternity tests. At first I thought she, 22 female, was saying BS because I dumped her. Then 3 weeks later she's telling everyone she's pregnant and that I broke up with her because of that, since according to her I don't want to be a father. Then made it worse when I was saying there's no way it's my kid because we only did it once over 4 months ago. She says she's barely 10 weeks. What's freaking me out is it says I'm the father. So either she found a way to tamper with the results or she did something to me. As in before we broke up, we'd sometimes spend the night at each other's apartments. I'm really worried since I take trazodone at night due to my insomnia problem, which leaves me knocked out completely. I don't want to think maybe she did something, but what else could it be? It sounds crazy, I know, but we literally have not slept together for months. I would remember an important detail like that. Then the way she's been acting, she has this told you so look on her face, and that's made her blow up on me even more online, about being a coward the whole time, but now there's proof I'm the father refusing to take responsibility. All my friends in my family that were on my side saying she's crazy are doubting me now when I told them there's no way the baby's mine. I don't know what to do about it now. Is it possible she figured out how to mess with the results, or is it possible she did what I think she did? How do I confront her about that? I'm not ready for kids. Edit to add more info. I know the last time we did it was May 15th. I know it was this date because we barely came back from the movies and still have the ticket. And since other people keep assuming, yeah, I did use a rubber, which is another reason why I was completely sure there was no way the baby was mine. Especially when there was already an ultrasound that said she's about 10 weeks pregnant now. That's why it's super confusing to me. It's why I can't stop freaking out about this. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Get another paternity test from another location and have the results sent to you. And get a lawyer. And get another test from a different lab. And talk to your doctor about the effects of the prescription you were taking. Could it affect your memory? Could you have had done it and not remember? Is it obvious that you're drugged or not? I hope she didn't do it with you when you were out of it. That would be awful. If it's obvious you were medicated, then it would have been a crime. It's also possible that she thought it was consensual while medicated. I've seen roommates do crazy things in Ambien and have no knowledge the next day. One made roughly 5 dozen muffins and asked me where they came from. We had sat in the kitchen talking while they were baking, and I had no idea she was on something. Yet another one sat at the end of my bed and told me how she was queen of the gummy bears and a piece of melted cheese. Ambien is a hell of a medicine. If you are unsure of the results, contact the lab and ask for a copy of the test results directly from them. Or wait until the baby is born and get a paternity test. If the results say you are a dad, be there for your child. Is it possible that this one maybe made a mistake with the results? I can try calling a guess. Someone else suggested going to a different clinic to see if the results came back saying something else or if it is for sure. And now for the update. Wasn't sure about updating after my last post, but thought screw it. I already posted this far about my life. I found another place and asked her if she could do another test. Of course, she was all pissed, but she agreed because, whatever, it's your money. My worst fear still came true, even though I wanted to double check in case the last place messed up. Results still came back that I'm the father, and it was sent directly from them to my email. This time I had a really serious talk with my ex, because the last ultrasound she had they were able to say how far along she was, which is way off the last time we've been intimate. She kept telling me we did it around the time she got pregnant, but she wouldn't give me any details about when or how, because it's not her fault I don't remember. According to her, we were already in bed and ended up doing it. I asked her stuff like what I was telling her, who started it, because I sure as hell don't remember any of that. Every time I went to bed, I'm knocked the hell out after taking my medication, because I got work in the mornings and can't be up late. I was nervous about asking this, but I needed to know. So I asked her was I already asleep or like did I wake up and wanted to do it. She didn't want to tell me anything. All she ended up telling me was, I was hard, wasn't I? Then that she's done talking about it, so I better accept it already because no one's gonna believe me anyways, and there's nothing I can do about it. The way she said it though, and how she was looking at me, her freaking smirk pissed me the hell off, but also got me anxious at the same time. Only thing I could say was, good luck taking care of the baby on her own. She can come at me with a child support, but it's not gonna be a lot, and I'm not gonna be involved at all, so she should think about what she's gonna do. My ex wanted to talk more about that because I need to help too, but that's all I could tell her and she's not gonna change my mind, even if she decides to say more crap about me to everyone. Everything's been awful so far. Have a list of people on my family and also some friends that I've blocked for now. My stomach's still been acting up from all the stress. It's been a lot going on, and all I'm hoping is she realizes she's gonna be on her own and decide not to go through with it. So she did it with you while you were asleep to get pregnant? Pretty sure that's a crime. Basically what she said, yeah, but I wouldn't have any way to prove that. It's my word against hers, and I don't know if I have the energy to get into that too, on top of everything else. It doesn't matter if you can prove it. I would consult with a lawyer and with the police, and I would let everyone who was giving me a hard time know that she violated you in your sleep after you were medicated, and then she admitted it to you. And that you are not a liar. And if she won't admit it now, of course she won't, but she baby-trapped you and you're not planning on cooperating. You can at least ask for the courtesy of support, because many people don't have any sympathy for male victims. I would get some therapy, and definitely even if you can't get full satisfaction, explore your options in terms of the fact that you were exploited and violated. This really sounds like she forced you, and she knows it with that smirk. Yeah, tell her good luck raising this kid on her own. You're right. You do not have to be involved at all as long as you pay child support. Hell, there are ways you can even get out of that. I'd consider having another convo with her about that night, record it, and report her to the police. She's an offender. Basically, she forced you. Just because you were hard does not mean you consent. I know it will be impossible to prove, but that's what happened. I am sorry she did this to you. Yes, you will be ordered to pay child support, but you legally have no responsibility to the child. I'd inform your friends and family what happened. Let them know, yes, it may be my kid because she did it with me while I was asleep. Have you considered filing a police report for this crime? I don't see the point. She's right. No one's gonna believe me. Next story is titled, My Fiancé Cheated on Me. I'm 32 female, been with my fiancé 33 male for 5 years. We were supposed to get married last August, but made a tough decision to postpone our big day until August of 2022 because a lot of our older family members had expressed concerns with flying and being around a crowd of people. I met him at work. We are both hairstylists at a higher-end salon. It's not a really creative environment. Occasionally you'll get someone who wants rainbow hair, but other than that is very generic colors and cuts. Like 9 months ago, he told me he was feeling really depressed and stagnant at work and wanted to quit and work in a more creative environment. I supported him, and he started working at a new salon within the month. Literally everyone who works there is in their early to mid-20s besides him. Instantly, he was so much happier. And within a few weeks, he expressed his desire to start trying for a family and wanted me to come off the pill. I told him I thought it would be better to wait a little while, preferably after the wedding, because he wasn't bringing in the same money he used to. Some of his clients followed him, but the majority didn't, so his book/money was cut in half. His birthday is in May, and he brought up trying again. And now he's in a good place at work and the timing is right. I agreed to come off birth control, not really trying or prevent it, thinking it would take months to get pregnant. I get pregnant in June, 20 weeks and 4 days, and we're both excited for the next chapter of our lives together. July changes his hours and starts working more. And it tells me it's because he wants to be able to have money set aside for the baby, because I won't be working for 6 to 8 weeks after birth. I don't think anything of it, and think it's sweet that he's trying to provide for the baby. 2 weeks ago, he sits me down crying, telling me he messed up. I'm thinking he got fired, but said he cheated on me with his 20-year-old apprentice/stylist under him. I was in complete shock, because this is what he wanted. He told me it's been going on since he found out I was pregnant, because all of a sudden things he thought about just got really real, and he couldn't handle it. I told him I couldn't deal with all this now, and he needed to get out and stay with friends or family. He's been calling and texting me nonstop and apologizing, wanting to work on things, but he won't quit. I don't trust him and don't think I can unless he leaves his jobs and isn't around her all the time. I've talked to my therapist about this, and I really don't know what the right answer is here. I'm not pissed. I'm hurt. He's going to be in my life forever one way or another. I told him I'm 99% sure this is something I can't get over. I'm really trying my hardest to stay calm for the baby's sake, because I know stress isn't good and can lead to issues. Any advice would be great. Him not being involved is not an option. I would never be that cruel. He'll be a great father, as he's good with kids. So he begs you to have a baby. You get pregnant. And he reacts by starting an affair with his apprentice? Not really a guy can trust when under pressure, is he? It makes no sense to me either. I've been racking my head for a while since I found out. He baby trapped you. You said yourself that you've been trying to figure out a way to make things work because you're having his baby. That's what he was banking on. He wanted to cheat on you and figured that he could get away with it if he impregnated you. This was 100% premeditated so he could get away with having an affair. Throw him away. You can do better. You said you're 99% sure you can get over this. And that's all the advice you need. You weren't required to forgive him. You weren't required to get over it. You weren't required to give it a try. You don't have to try to trust him again even if he leaves his new job. You don't. Your only requirement is doing whatever it is you feel deep down. And that 99% is what you feel. So powerful. You're right. I've been frantically trying to figure out a way to make this work and try and trust him because a baby is involved, when deep down I already know this is over. It felt good to type that. In case you're hesitating, I wanted to tell you a bit. My parents stayed together for years, mostly for us, despite the fact that they're two very incompatible people. They resented each other a lot, and most of the time that fell on me and my sister. They being together didn't make things easier for us. It made them a million times harder. My parents decided to officially separate some years later, and it was the best decision they could have taken. I love them both deeply, and as their son, it's a joy to have seen them flourish outside of their relationship. My dad has gone calmer, gone to therapy, and has matured a great deal, while my mom has let her creativity run free and now has a partner who is a great fit for her. They're still partners, in a sense. They get along well, despite a few hitches here and there, but they're friends, and we're still very much a family. If you stay together and resent him, your kid is going to be able to sense that, and it's going to affect them. Do what your heart is telling you to do, and you're going to set a very powerful example for your kid, as well as giving them the gift of growing up with peace of mind. You're going to be a wonderful mom. Now for the last story. My 14 female daughter, 18 female, just told me she and her boyfriend, 18 male, are pregnant. Her boyfriend's parents think my daughter should drop out of college to work to support her son and their baby because he has a full athletic scholarship. How can I try to help my daughter stay in school? My daughter and her boyfriend have been together since freshman year in high school. Now they are freshmen in college. When my daughter told her father and I that she is pregnant, she also told us that she and her boyfriend are going to get married before the baby comes. I do think they are good together, so I'm not upset by that. I've known his mom since college. We are friends. She thinks her son should finish college because he has a full athletic scholarship. As a student athlete, he is not allowed to have a job. I think that him finishing is smart, but I don't want my daughter to have to drop out of college completely. I could let them live with us as we have room in the house. I unfortunately couldn't babysit more than the 2 days I'm off work. My husband and I have always dreamed that our daughter would be the first to go to college for a bachelor's degree. Both my husband and I work trades, so we never went to college. I cut hair and my husband is an auto mechanic. Our daughter is very smart, and we are very proud. We don't have a ton of money, but I would help any way I can. What should I do here? Now for the top advice. I just want to chime in and say please do whatever you can to convince your daughter to stay in school. My mom got pregnant with me at 19 while she was in college and married my dad. My dad's side of the family did everything they could to convince my mom to drop out so she could take care of me full time. I'm so thankful that she did drop out, since without her job, she would have never been able to leave him. Your daughter can look into online schooling, hybrid schooling, benefits for single moms for daycare subsidies, etc. But please make sure she looks into all of her options before she makes a decision to drop out. Her education is the one thing that no one will ever be able to take away from her. I would research what is available to single moms versus married before they tie the knot. There can be quite a lot available by way of scholarships, bursaries, and government assistance for single moms, and often it all goes away if she's married, financially stable or not. Agree. I chose not to get married. It helped me in the long run. My husband and I are still together 14 years after getting pregnant. Definitely a sticky situation. They're both babies and should both stay in school. What would happen if she drops out and works, and 4 years from now the boyfriend leaves her? I'm not saying he will, but she has to really think about every possibility. Will she regret dropping out 10 years from now or grow to resent the child? You should encourage your daughter to stay in school. She's lucky to have supportive parents like you and your husband. Make sure she understands the long-term financial responsibilities of a child and what it means to have a baby. That's the most you can do. Yes, that is exactly what I'm worried about too. I don't think it's like that, but you never know. So what exactly is the father sacrificing in this situation? I can name 3 things she might be sacrificing to have this baby before we bring up her education. 1, her physical body. 2, possibly mental health. I have had PPD and it's awful. 3, possibly her health, as many things can happen during pregnancy. Never mind all of the horrible pregnancy symptoms she'll have to endure. This whole post about his parents and him basically deciding for her without really saying how the dad will contribute or how his life will change from the baby rubs me the wrong way. How much of this was actually her decision without future in-laws talking in her rear? I'm not trying to be a jerk, but this feels too one-sided. So, they probably shouldn't get married so she can stay in your health insurance. Let them move in. Some universities have daycares on campus. She can plan for online classes and take a lighter load when the baby's due. Also have her take CLEP courses for basics. They're like $80 a test and she gets full credit. Our kids are homeschooled and started college as sophomores this way. There are ways for her to keep going with the baby. The problem is, will daddy step up or will he just pawn all the work on her? I want $200,000, but I won't tell my husband. Plus updates. Original post. I, 26 female, and my husband, 26 male, have been married for almost 2 years. For the past year, I've been the breadwinner, and I'm not okay with this. Hubby lost his job after some budget cuts, and since then, he's been doing nothing but play video games. At first, he went to interviews, but that stopped after 2 months. And no, he isn't doing any chores either. We used to split chores 50-50, but now he isn't even doing his 50%. So, I'm financially supporting both of us while also doing 100% of the chores. I've discussed this with my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and they had a talk with him. Father-in-law even got him a couple interviews. That, by the way, he missed because he was playing and he forgot to go. 2 weeks ago, father-in-law called him and scolded him. Father-in-law told him he raised him better than to leech off me, and not even help with household chores. He told him he needs to get his act together and start doing his chores and look for a job because a marriage is 50-50, and right now I'm doing 100% of everything. He ended the call by telling him he was very disappointed. My husband always had this thing about making his dad proud. So he started looking for a job and even went on 2 interviews. Now, last week, I went on a trip with some friends and we went to a casino where I won $200,000. I haven't told my husband, and I don't know if I will. I'm afraid if I do, he will go back to doing nothing, excusing that as we don't need money, that I could hire someone for the housework. Before you ask, our finances are separate and he doesn't have access to my bank account, so I don't think he will find out. I will also like to add that I want to use some of the money to pay my student loans. What's left after that, I want to put them in savings. We are discussing the possibility of having kids, and if we decide to expand our family, I want my kids to have a college fund. But I'm also reconsidering having kids with a man that needs to be scolded by his parents in order for him to do his part in the relationship. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Your finances aside, send your husband to therapy. He's horribly depressed. This is what I'm thinking. All these people are saying he's a deadbeat lazy bum, but she said he used to work and contribute to the household evenly. Also, that he thrives to make his dad proud. It sounds more like depression than this just being who he is. Exactly why I said this. If it were his personality, this would have always been the case, but the fact that there's such a big change is a huge tell. Honestly, I'm not really sure why people are telling you to baby your husband. If he has a problem, he needs to address it. I've been in the exact same situation, and it nearly freaking killed me, and he didn't give a hoot. All the attraction to him went out the window because he refused to help himself. A swift dose of reality will do the trick for most people. These are people, however, who, like Opie's significant other, would rather leech off friends and family like a succubus rather than put in their fair share. Classic Reddit. Most people going straight to divorce him instead of advising to get him some therapy or psychological help. He might be depressed after losing his job, and I can say from experience that having your parents scold you might not be enough to get you to do better. Freaking hell. Imagine if every single relationship problem was resolved with a breakup. Reddit is full of virgins and people who've never been in a relationship. They have no idea what they're talking about. Now for the first update. I posted this in another sub, and someone made question if he was really laid off because of budget cuts or if that's a lie. So, I talked with one of his former colleagues and he told a different story. According to him, my husband left because I made enough to support both of us, so he didn't need to work. I went home but he was playing as usual, so I called for him. I think he forgot his door was open because I heard him tell his gaming buddy, "My witch is home." I lost it at that. I don't know how I managed to stay composed, but a lot of people pointed out that he may be depressed, so I tried to talk to him. This is how it went. Me, I'm very unhappy with how things are right now. I work to support both of us, and I'm also doing all the household chores. It's not fair. You have a gaming problem. I think you should go to therapy and maybe we can try couples counseling too. Him, I don't see the issue. I like games. So what? Me, okay. Have you found a job yet? Him, no. Me, I know you weren't fired. Why did you quit? Him, I didn't. After an hour, he finally admitted that he doesn't want to work, and he never looked for jobs either. All the interviews he went to were actually outings with friends. He doesn't want to work because we don't need the money. So I said, okay, I'm fine with being the sole provider, but then he needs to do the chores. He said no, that he would rather play games. So I handed him the divorce papers. He said I'm overreacting and that I would still work and do all chores if I was alone. So why can't I just do it? We got into a fight where I did end up telling him about the money. His reaction was exactly the one I was afraid of. He suggested getting a maid. So I'm currently staying with my sister. I'm not backing up with a divorce. And for those of you that are worried, he has no right over the money. We have a prenup, so after the divorce, each leaves with what's in our names, so he won't see a dollar. My lawyer reassured me of that. Second update. Hubby is crying, begging me to reconsider. He's promising to get a job and lay off on gaming. I don't know if I should laugh or cry, but damn, I don't believe anything he says. He also apologized for calling me a witch and swears he'll do all house chores and get a full-time job. It's kind of pathetic, but nonetheless, if divorce is the only way to get him to participate, I don't want to always need to print papers every time he isn't doing anything. I told him I'm not going to reconsider, because his actions showed me he isn't someone that I can count on. I want a family, not slavery. I want to be a mother, but for that, I need a partner that I can count on if I need someone to pick up where I slack. Safe to say, he left crying saying I don't love him and that no one will want me. Next story. My wife died 11 months ago and our lives are better. Yes, I am a monster for saying this. And yes, we have a young child together. About 11 months ago, my wife was killed in an auto accident that was not her fault. I won't give specifics for fear of being identified. My wife's mental health had steadily declined over the past 6 to 7 years. She had become a compulsive shopper, hoarder, depression, anxiety, verbally abusive to me, gaslighting, etc. This was not who I dated and married. Yes, I still loved her. When her mental health was great, best family unit in the world. But when she spiraled, it was just nasty the way she would treat us. Yes, she was in therapy and yes, she had medication. She was diagnosed as bipolar. We discovered suppressed childhood trauma in a therapy session. Not the sexual kind, but horrible parents. Recalling lack of food, but money for smokes. Living in a hotel for nearly a year. No Christmas presents. Parents fighting physically in front of her, etc. She had suppressed this and recreated different memories. The last 4 years were hell. Never knowing how she would be in the morning. Seeing her become hostile over me sneezing too loud. Or our daughter flushing the toilet during her shows. I felt like a prisoner. And my child did her best to understand that mommy's brain doesn't work right. When I got a call that I needed to come to the hospital, I honestly thought she tried to end herself, and was hoping she did. When I got to the hospital, time froze. The doctor and the nurse brought me to a room. They said she died of blunt force trauma. I cried, but it was a cry of relief. When my mom brought my daughter home, she cried too. But I think for the same reason I did. Today, I am in a better place. And so is my child. We have dinners with no yelling. We visit family and friends without getting text accusing me of cheating. My child is not getting yelled at for not understanding her homework. Hell, she still gives me a hug and kiss when I drop her off at school. I have exited therapy, however, my daughter said she still wants to go, so she does. My daughter wants to know about her mom before her mental health issues. And that is how she will be remembered. She was given a proper burial buried next to her grandpa, and we visit the grave about once a week. We got a decent settlement for the accident. Paid off our home, and I put the rest in trust for when the kid turns 18. I recently started dating a friend. It's so weird. I'm not used to normal dates or having another adult ask me how my day was. She made me breakfast, and I forgot what it was like to have someone care for me. Thank you for reading. I just came here to say that you're not a monster. It's hard seeing someone you love go through something like this. My mother is bipolar, and I have thoughts sometimes that definitely scare me. I'm glad you're happy now and can finally live the life you wanted. Sounds like wife was very bad and especially alarming that she was acting that way towards the child as well. From what I can see, she wasn't taking therapy/medication and other activities close enough to action. And the mistreatment started ramping up basically after they had a child together. Repeated false accusation of cheating, flying off the handle at minor inconveniences like they're horrendous, etc. are unacceptable, especially towards a child, and when showing no signs of stopping or the perp addressing them. At that stage of boundaries being consistently ignored or impossible to set, relationship has to end for the safety of the kid and their upbringing. Even without a kid, a relationship like that is rotten and must end. Victim doesn't deserve to be treated this way. Exposure and victimhood to DV severely harms children. And OP, if you haven't already, get your kid DV counseling/therapy. Otherwise, your kid is at risk of developing severe issues and mental illness. People like your wife are rarely just horrible with no trauma or illness of their own. There's almost always some underlying thing, like OP's wife's case, that influences it. But as difficult as it is, the behavior cannot remain in a relationship, especially if it's continuously escalating, and there's a refusal by that person to address the root causes and recognize what they're doing. At that mark, no one benefits at all from the relationship. The person's actions will get worse, and the root trauma will be coped with by hurting others. Victim is traumatized by repeatedly being attacked, and child is traumatized to dangerous extents. I think you need to put the house in a trust for her too, since it was paid off with money you got for the settlement. Just in case you marry someone and anything happens to you, she will have rights to your house. I had not thought of that. Good idea. Also, if you haven't already, update your will now. That broke my heart to read, pal. Glad you're doing good now. I'm not asking to be an a-hole, but why couldn't you have left her? Because I loved her mainly. But also, I could not afford a divorce. She would have won alimony, and due to my work schedule, most likely full custody, making me a weekend dad. Last story. I have imaginary dates with my late husband every week. I just wanted to let this out. I've never told anyone about this, and I've never used Reddit before, so bear with me. I'm a 36-year-old woman, and I lost my husband 11 years ago. Every Saturday night, we would go out on date. We started when we were 16 and he got his license, every single week until we were 25 and he was taken from me. It was really, really hard for me. I had more than a few grippy sock vacations. I broke everything in my home out of sadness. Fortunately, it was after I moved a lot of his things to our bedroom, so nothing of his was harmed. I was in grief counseling for 4 years, until they finally gave me off to another therapist who I see twice a week. All I ever talk about is how much I miss my husband. The only thing that brings me happiness is my loyalty to him. It's something I'm very, very proud of. Even though he's gone, I still wear my rings, and I've stayed 100% faithful to him, and I'm going to continue to do that for the rest of my life. It makes me happy when I think about it. One day, when I see him in heaven, I'll be able to tell him I stayed faithful to him, and I'm still his wife forever. I have his senior portrait on my bedside along with his ashes. It's the first and last thing I see every day. One thing that helps me cope with it is kind of weird. I have imaginary date nights with him. I put on his favorite dress, I'll put on my makeup and do my hair. I cook one of his favorite meals. I make both of us a plate and I just sit there and eat. And I pretend he's across from me and we're eating together. Then I pour both of us a glass of champagne. I've always hated the taste, and before he passed, I was 100% sober my entire life. But it makes me feel like I'm connected to him when I drink it, as he loved champagne. I'll pretend he's drinking it too and we'll get a little tipsy together. Then I'll take him upstairs and go into the bathroom and put on some lingerie for him. Then he watches me take it off, and then I go into the bottom of my drawer. And I have a toy that's the same size as his member, and I use it and pretend it's him and we're being intimate. I moan his name really loud when I do it too. Then the next morning I wake up and I clean everything up. I clean up his food that obviously was never touched, and his full glass of champagne, and I go about my day. I know it seems crazy, but it's something that brings me joy. It makes me happy. And please don't try to convince me to not stay loyal to my husband. Staying loyal to him brings me true happiness. And if you have a problem with that, please just keep that to yourself. I'm sorry. I feel really sad reading this. Love has such patience, and that's why love is beautiful and sad at the same time. Opie, do whatever makes you happy. No one is gonna judge you. You live your life the way you want it. If you want to have dates with the love of your life, do it. If you want to love him until the last day of your life, love him as much as you want. At my first big kid job, I worked closely with a bookkeeper, a lovely woman, and a great painter whom I adored. Her husband had died many years before our meeting, and while she spoke of him often enough, she only ever spoke of his death once in the time we knew each other. I don't remember the conversation exactly. I just remember her saying that he had been sick for a while there, but now he's just invisible. That struck me, and so did the way she said it. Like his death was just an aesthetic side effect of an otherwise benign condition. one they laughed about together, like a little inside joke between them. She didn't elaborate beyond that, and she didn't need to. It was plain on her face that the love they shared was just as alive in that moment as it was before he up and turned invisible on her. I'll never know the story of their relationship or how she arrived at her perspective on the loss she had suffered. But I do know that whenever I'm faced with loss or grief, I think about Mary and her invisible husband, and I can't help but smile. I think connections between people have a much longer shelf life than people themselves. And with that in mind, I hope you continue to enjoy the heck out of your date nights. My husband died a year ago, and in my dreams when he's there, it doesn't feel like a dream. It feels like he's actually there. We are always talking about something. We did a lot of that. It feels like I should be able to touch him, but I can't. All those weird things that make a dream are never there when he is. I wake up from the dream and it feels like he's probably still there. I just can't see him anymore. This is why I'm scared of getting too attached. This is just so sad and heartbreaking. Hey dude, don't let it stop you from forming close and beautiful connections in your life. It can sometimes hurt to love something/someone so deeply, but the rewards outweigh it, and ultimately nothing is permanent. I'm more scared of never forming such connections. How fortunate are we to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard?